I did not expect to like Crush as much as I did. I went in there with no expectation. And while the film wasn't perfect, I feel like we've been given a solid teen rom-com film that is going to be an instant classic.
All of them. I want it all. Give me all of that. All of them. Give me all of them.
She in slow motion again?
Yeah.
Music playing in the background? Mm-hmm. Funny feeling down there?
Naturally.
I feel like we need more of these types of films, and this is the type of film that I would have wanted as a kid, but instead I got murderous lesbian teens in Heavenly Creatures. So I'm going to talk about the things that I really liked about this film, and then I'll talk about some of the things I didn't like so much, and by the way, there are going to be spoilers. All right, let's start by talking about what I felt worked really well in this film.
Look, your art is amazing, seriously. What was the prompt again?
Show us your happiest moment.
Right, okay, so do you think that shows that? Is there anything that is maybe happier?
I had a really yummy donut the other day.
What about a first love or a first kiss or something?
Well, I haven't had those things, so you're really pouring salt on the wound here, AJ.
All I'm saying, don't be afraid to draw something a little more vulnerable.
First of all, I want to talk about the acting, and I felt like the casting across the board was really strong. There wasn't anyone who stood out as bad, and there were a lot of performances that I felt were really strong, especially with Rowan Blanchard, who played Paige, the lead character, and Auli'i Cravalho, who played AJ. They especially turned in some really beautifully grounded performances, and their chemistry was really top-notch. And that's part of what sold the film so well, is their ability to take the script and make it dance, make it sparkle. I thought Rowan did a really good job of playing the clumsy girl trope, which is a staple of this type of genre. But she does it really well, and she's amusing when she's falling over and trying to, but failing to do any of the sports. And I'm sure that a lot of people relate to having to do PE at school and not being very good at it.
I have an idea. How do you feel about running in a straight line?
That's the only straight thing I can do.
I do also have to talk about how delighted I was to see Paige's mum, played by Megan Mullally, who is from Will and Grace and Parks and Rec.
Barbara from next door is gay.
Okay.
Sorry, my first instinct was to name other gay people we know. Honey, I'm so happy for you.
I've always really enjoyed her. To see her here was just cherry on top. She played very much in the same wheelhouse as the characters from Will and Grace and Parks and Rec, so it was quite fun to see her being so aggressively okay with her daughter's sexuality, which is something that, don't we all want that? And in fact, I really liked that the sexuality of the characters in the film was not a big deal. And I know we need to have those coming out stories like Love, Simon from a few years back, but we also need to have the stories where being queer is not a big deal at all. It's just another facet of someone's personality and not something to make a big deal over. So that felt really refreshing as well, just to see for a teen movie that the sexuality was really not a big deal at all. And I also feel like we're getting to a point where we can have stories that go beyond the coming out narrative. Even if the majority of the world still isn't able to experience that kind of environment, I think it provides that safe space for us to explore the idea of what would it feel like, what would it look like if we truly were accepted and we didn't have to deal with homophobia. And I think the film does that so beautifully, subtly, it's just there. I mean, there were so many queer girls in that film. In fact, that felt like one of the most unrealistic things when I was like looking at all of the queer characters that they had, and I was like, that was 100% not my reality at school. There was no one out. No one was out at my school when I was growing up. So, a completely different world. It's a world I would have loved to have lived in while I was growing up. It really would have helped me. But at least we get now to enjoy it through this film.
I'm the fastest woman alive.
That was mediocre at best.
So I want to talk a bit about the script. I felt like the script was really strong. There was a lot of fun banter in it, especially between the leads. And I felt like it helped make the evolution of their relationship really fresh and fun. I actually am really impressed with the quality of the script and the fact that Kirsten King and Casey Rackham are the writers, and it's their only credit on IMDb, so I thought that was really impressive. And I had a look at the director as well, Sammy Cohen, and wow, she looks gay. So I'm assuming that the writers are gay, and I'm assuming that the directors are gay, which is great. I mean, that's what you want, right? You want stories being told by queer women for queer women, and this film beautifully fits into that. I thought that they took the formula of the rom-com, of the teen rom-com specifically, and they did it really well. So you got like the clumsy girl, and then we've got the forced together by circumstances with the plot of the king pun and how that pushes Paige into the sports team, giving us that fish out of water kind of narrative. And they kept it really entertaining with the banter and the characters and all of that. So going into the film, I had been spoiled about the bathroom scene because I'm on Tumblr and I don't filter my tags, so I was just presented with the gift set. I knew it going in. And I did have a question about how they were going to contrive that situation to happen. And I thought they did a good job with it. Having Dylan as the best friend come in and make that active choice to put them together when in fact it was meant to be Paige and Gabriella, AJ's twin sister. If it had just been that it was AJ's phone being pulled out of it along with Paige's, I thought that would have been a pretty weak choice. So I really like that they did that. And then when they were in the bathroom, having Paige inside the bath with AJ on the outside, I thought was just this wonderful visual of how awkward they felt given that they had feelings for each other, but kind of not knowing where the other one stood. And then the dialogue that they used to get them to that kiss.
At least it's better than us awkwardly making out.
Yeah, I mean, what, can you imagine what, suddenly we're hardcore making out?
That just sounds, come on, really crazy.
It would be hilarious.
It would be just super funny.
Yeah, funny, like this being my first kiss.
Well, why haven't you? I mean, I'm sure that, people probably want to.
I'm not opposed to it.
I'm not opposed to it either.
Kissing someone?
Kissing you?
Oh.
There was just a lovely flow to it. It was beautifully acted and it felt grounded. And what was so delightful about all of that is that it also fell into that trope of, they had to kiss because of circumstance, and then immediately after we slam cut to them in bed, but at completely opposite ends of the bed. It was a great visual. It really helped increase that awkwardness and that tension between them as they have that conversation in the bed. And that, of course, set things up well for the next day when AJ finds out that Paige had actually kissed Gabriella and, pulling up all of those insecurities that AJ had about the fact that Gabriella always gets the attention. So yeah, overall, so many good things about this film. They hit it on the head on so many levels. But there are a few criticisms that I had about the film. Some things that I could have done without, specifically Dylan and his girlfriend being aggressively into each other was, to me, such a weak point. I guess they were trying to use it as a recurring gag, but it felt flat. And they kept pushing it, and I'm like, this is the wrong audience. This is really the wrong audience. And again, we see this with Paige's mum and the coach, and yeah, I just could have done without that. Again, it just felt incredibly forced, especially when you juxtapose it with the chemistry that was going on between Paige and AJ, and then you see Paige's mum and the coach, and there's like no chemistry whatsoever. It's just, why was that written in? I don't really know. And then also, who the king pun was. When that mystery was introduced, it was really obvious that it was AJ. I don't know how they could have made it less obvious. Maybe if they had tried to put that on Gabriella and then it turned out to be AJ, maybe that would have worked. But then Gabriella would have had to be a different type of character in order for that to play out well. It was just glaringly obvious, and I felt that's where the script really showed the skeleton of the formula that they were working with. And it wasn't in a terrible way. I mean, we also knew that the two girls were going to get together at the end. I just felt that there was this mystery that they kept trying to push, and we're just sitting there going, well, obviously it's AJ. It has to be AJ. It has to be AJ for the script because we need them to fall apart at some point, and how we're going to make them fall apart. Obviously, this was it. Anyway, these are all pretty small gripes to have with the film. Overall, it was such a cute film, and I feel, like I said at the beginning, it's an instant classic. It's a sorely needed film in the teen market because I don't think we have got any other teen rom-coms that are gay. I mean, Lesbian. I think we've got Love, Simon, which is sort of rom-com-y, but the rest of the films that have got teenagers as queer protagonists, I think they're all those kind of coming-of-age style stories, which are more in the drama genre than the rom-com. Anyway, if you know of any teen rom-coms that I'm not thinking of right here, let me know in the comments, because I'm definitely blanking on those right now. Also, let me know what you thought of the film. What were the things that you loved? What were the things that you felt were not so good? I'm always interested to hear other people's opinion because I have strong opinions about things, and they're not always right. They're just opinions, and I love to hear other people's perspectives on things. But before you do that, please give my video a like, subscribe if you like this type of content. It really helps me out in the algorithm. And until next time, lady lovers.